Hi, my name is Kevin, and I collect old irons.
My name is also Kevin. I'm the curator of the Portage County Historical Society in Ravenna, Ohio.
And we are here to talk about the A.C. Williams Foundry in northeastern Ohio. One of the major sad iron producing foundries was the A.C. Williams Company, shown as ACW on this flat iron. The foundry was originally started by John Wesley Williams in 1844, originally located in Chagrin Falls, northeastern Ohio. The J.W. Williams Company made wagon wheels and hubs and some of the machinery used in the Titusville oil fields, which were just across the border in Pennsylvania, and cannon caissons and carriages during the Civil War. The company became the J.W. Williams and Son Company in 1865, and the son, Adams Clark Williams, bought the company in 1886. The Chagrin Falls plant burned down in 1889, and then again in 1892. AC then moved the company to Ravenna, which had a better fire department and was closer to shipping outlets. Ravenna was named after a city in Italy and is pronounced Ravenna. The foundry at this time was much like many other small foundries across the country, with maybe no more than 20 employees. But in the 1880s, and especially after the move to Ravenna, the company became a major manufacturer of flat iron, Mrs. Potts type detachable handle, and other irons. These were sold wholesale to stores throughout the country and are consequently quite common and widely dispersed. Let me tell a story. This script was originally written on Tuesday of this week, about 4 days ago. On Wednesday, Thursday, we had no guests at the B&B, and so we did a trip downstate, visiting some antique shops and other things. And at the Central Main Antique Shop in Bangor, I saw a Taylor iron. Now, these are quite common. I have no desire for any of these things, but as a matter of habit, I always casually look at the markings. Markings are important. That is why we are talking about foundries. And these markings say A.C. Williams Company, Ravenna, Ohio. The point here is this. The A.C. Williams Foundry produces irons in enormous numbers, so common that I might find one on a casual trip downstate as I might find one in other places throughout the country. And they were here in Central Maine. I don't mean that A.C. Williams sold one to an individual buyer, but rather shipped caseloads of these irons of various types and descriptions to various stores in the Central Maine region. In the early 1890s, Williams lost a major contract and turned to door-to-door salesmen who often carried the products in miniature, salesman samples, which sold very well as toys, and AC found its niche. Cast iron toys, here is an example of a Mack Bulldog truck, made the company quite successful. And into World War I, the company produced these toys as well as coin banks, doorstops, and so forth. Much of the information that I'm providing here comes from a visit to the Portage County Historical Society Museum in Ravenna. The sad iron collections at this museum are not extensive. Here is a small display of Williams toys, and here is a display of some irons. But the company has something that is much more important and rare. There is a considerable collection of A.C. Williams catalogs from 1890 to the 1930s or so. I did not have a lot of time to assimilate these, but here is a great deal of information on what the company was making and when. By the 1890s, flat irons appear to be a smaller part of the marketing for the company. The Mrs. Potts detachable handle sad irons were a significant part of the business, and we have seen these illustrations with the hand in other catalogs and trade cards. But there is something interesting about this picture. The stand. My belief is that these double-pointed stands were originally sold with natural gas and gasoline irons, but here they are being sold with Mrs. Potts type sad irons. I am guessing that Williams bought a set of molds for these and marketed these with his irons. And here's a similar illustration with a Royal stand. Note the W and the Royal on the base of the handle. This would explain why these particular stands are so much more common than the fuel irons that they were originally made for. The Mrs. Potts type irons were made of smaller sizes, and these included a little Williams trivet, which is also quite common. The 1890 catalog also includes sat iron heaters. Note that these can be used for both double-pointed and flat-backed irons, and that these were sold by the dozen. Here is a flat sat iron heater, and the bottom illustration shows how these were used with the lid to trap the heat. Here are some illustrations from the 1915 catalog. Collectors know that both of these toy sat irons and stands are very common, always unmarked, but now we know where they came from. Note that these were sold in lots of 24 dozen. Wow. By the way, here in the catalog is an item for the Mack toy truck with the hard rubber tires, just like the real truck had, packed 1 dozen in a paper box or 6 dozen in a case. Toys such as these were sold to SS Kresge, FW Woolworth, and other stores nationwide. Let's look at 3 coal irons that I saw in these catalogs. Here is what I would call the classic Bless and Drake. Here is a piece-type combination iron that is used for ironing and fluting. And here is a larger Taylor coal iron. All of these manufactured by A.C. Williams and other companies as well. Note the markings on the vent door at the rear. I believe that might be a trademark for Williams and something to watch out for. The catalogs show nothing particularly unusual except this. This is the parts list for an electric iron. I'm not sure what year catalog this came from, but I've never seen anything like this, and it may be well that Williams was selling these for some other small company. Something for our friend Jay. There is something else I picked up in my research for this video. A.C. Williams had a particularly good relationship with his employees. This is shown by these ribbons for reunions from the early 1900s. You might remember the 1889 fire that I mentioned earlier. This happened after A.C. had only recently bought and expanded the factory. He was in serious debt. Now he was bankrupt, dead as a doornail, and everybody knew it. His employees offered their time at no cost to rebuild the factory, and other businesses, including railroads, offered their services and materials at no charge. This was a remarkable event even then, and is commented on in the Williams literature. As with the Howell video we did earlier, there is a post-Satirn's history to tell. The A.C. Williams Company continued to do cast iron products, particularly toys, banks, other kinds of things, into the period past World War I. But as the 1920s developed, the competition went more to celluloids, lighter steel, and other products, and A.C. Williams Company switched gears, primarily working with magnesium castings and then later with aluminum castings. Up through World War II, one of its particular niches was the parts for sewing machines. And the company is still in business under the name Light Metals Company and makes magnesium and aluminum castings for the aerospace and racing industries. This picture is from their webpage. The current company is essentially down the street from the Portage County Museum, which is right across the street from where A.C. Williams is buried. As usual, thank you very much. We've got some other videos in progress and look forward to seeing you soon.